Hello, welcome to the channel of China and the world. My name is Fan. I was born, raised in Hong Kong, and currently living in Australia. I know too much about the cultures of China and the West. In this channel, I am going to tell you interesting things and facts about the countries, the people, and their cultures. Hope you enjoy the channel. I am a Hong Kong Chinese living in Australia. I really want to tell Westerners what kind of place China is, what it is like to live in China. What is it like for foreigners to live in China? Chris Ebbett, Swede who lived in China for 3 years. I like it. I spent 3 years in Shanghai and Beijing. The apartments are very comfortable and usually have air conditioning and good bathrooms. It might be a bit odd that you need to buy water for cooking and drinking, as drinking tap water is not recommended. You do need someone to help with errands and bills, because unless you can read and speak Chinese, every bill that comes in is just a mystery. The food is fantastic, especially if you have money to eat in restaurants. Don't get me wrong, the price of living in China is very expensive. Renting a place costs between $5,000 and $10,000 a month, and if you eat in restaurants twice a day, that adds up to $3,000 to $6,000 a month even if you're cautious. Driving is impossible for many reasons. Traveling by car is the main way of life, and it is best to have a taxi budget. I recommend at least $1,500 per month. Work is a big problem. Whatever it is, you've got to have certain advantages, like generally being better than the locals, and preferably you have special abilities that they might not have, so don't let them down. Despite the image of Chinese cities as giant concrete jungles, they are actually pretty good, and you'll see parks and vegetation that are absolutely magnificent. Therefore, there is no need to worry about the lack of greenery and green areas or water. Medical services are top-notch. I have never seen a health service as big as China. It's not in the US, France, Germany or Sweden. Everything is top-notch, everything is up to date. People are nice, calm, private, discreet. If that's the case for you too, you'll make acquaintances. While it may not be possible to be friends, it's not your reason. Chinese people don't make friends easily in life, they have family instead, but you can meet many foreigners who might like your company. In general, I feel that the Chinese are comfortable, if a little distant, with Westerners. Ray Camo, American, who has lived and worked in China for 10 years. For Westerners, living in China and being content is not for everyone. If you've never been to a country with a different culture, language, and cuisine, it's hard for most Westerners. I've been to many parts of the world and I can adjust my life to live anywhere. Some facts about China. 1. If you don't speak the language, you are isolated from the locals. 2. In Beijing and Shanghai, there are many places to understand foreigners and English, so it is easier to get along. 3. If you can't adapt to the local food, then your choices will be very limited. The local diet is a lot of vegetables, fish, pork, rice, noodles. 4. Your freedom in your daily life in the West is no different from your freedom in China. 5. The locals are very open and friendly. 6. Depending on your income, you can enjoy a higher standard of living in China. 7. All the big cities in China are as modern as any in North America. In terms of technology in everyday life, China is more advanced compared to the West. 8. China is a very safe country, and people go out day and night without worry. The crime rate is very low compared to the West. 9. Air pollution is improving every year, but the city you live in is different. Here are some photos I've taken over the past 2 years. Carl Johnson, American, who has lived and worked in China for 8 years. A little bit of background about me. I'm from a small country town in New Hampshire. My town is 14,000 people, and I love growing up and living in New Hampshire. I used to hate going to the big city of Boston. The traffic was a mess, the routes were numerous and very confusing. Of course, the main mode of transportation for living outside the city is by car. So if I want to buy something, it takes at least 10 minutes to get to the store. When I first came to China, I almost always took a taxi. This is my default mode of transportation. But the longer I live here, the more I travel. I quickly realized that in China you can get everything you need within a very short walk. Convenience, good for you. When I'm in Shanghai, I stop taking taxis for long trips. The subway is very convenient, easy to navigate and inexpensive. I really like the subway here. Eating in China is a struggle at first. The food is very different. He has completely different eating habits from Westerners. It may seem unattractive at first. But the food is great once you get used to it. It's very good for you. Noise is another thing Westerners have to get used to. Chinese people like to drive with horns on, which can be annoying. If you are used to these things, what are the benefits of living in China? First, it's convenient. I don't need a car. I walk a lot and it improves my health. Everything you need is within a few minutes walk. It has many interesting places to visit, both beautiful and surprising. There's a lot of history here too. The food is great. The people are amazing. These cities are modern. I learned a lot about life. Since coming to China, I have learned to live with less. I no longer surround myself with material things like I do in America. I see how hard the kids work, and it is an inspiration, and I am still in awe every time I meet the students and see the dedication the kids have to learn. I'm also fascinated to see China grow and grow. I did see a city growing and a huge road system being built. An international airport appears, etc., and the pace of construction here is astonishing. Yes, China is a great place to live if you are willing and able to open up to a different way of life. I wish I could see the situation here 20 years from now. Derek Patterson, BA History, Bates College. I have been living in Shenzhen, China for about 2 years. Here are some of the reasons I love this country. 1. Safe, safe, safe. This cannot be said enough. China is very safe compared to my home country. Without guns, the crime rate can be significantly reduced, especially in big cities like Shanghai and Beijing. I never felt threatened, never afraid to walk around late at night. 2. Catering. I like Chinese food. My favorite, char siu egg rice. I could eat this for the rest of my life. It usually consists of pork, eggs, white rice and vegetables. 3. Geography. China is huge, self-evident. That means there are plenty of places to visit. Note that I'm not only referring to popular locations, Hong Kong, Beijing, Shanghai, etc., but also to the many different provinces across the continent, each offering a different perspective on Chinese culture and history. I also love the fact that Shenzhen is so close to other Southeast Asian countries. So far I've visited Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia and the Philippines, all of which are very cheap from Hong Kong to Shenzhen. 4. Friendly. Some of the most genuine and friendly people I've met are in China. The kids are interested in you and love speaking English with you, and the adults are more than happy to help if you feel lost or confused about menu items in Chinese restaurants. From the NBA to President Obama, the Chinese are eager to learn about America, and never hesitate to tell you their favorite things about the country. 5. Culture and history. China has a lot to learn and was the most influential factor when I decided to move here. I am a history major and love exploring places around the world and learning more about their histories. China has the longest historical timeline compared to other countries. Additionally, China has multiple provinces, each with its own cultural aspects and spoken language. China is a wonderful country with a wealth of activities, as well as great food. Western media likes to mock or portray China in a negative light. However, I encourage travelers or anyone interested in learning more about China to visit for themselves. You won't be disappointed. Usman Bokum, Bulgarian living in China for 7 years. I have been to China for the past 3 years. This was my last year. My experience of living in China has brought me a lot of changes. Here are some that are not on my mind. The importance of leadership. While in China, I had the opportunity to be a first-rate witness of how China's leaders care about their people. I've been in college and corporate world, and both of my leaders see their colleagues as their brothers. They really care about their subordinates and try to make them happy. I realized how important leadership is. Eat on time. Chinese people put a lot of emphasis on eating. At first I found it difficult. When my friends asked me, did I eat? They would always ask me if I had breakfast, and we would eat at lunch and dinner on time every day, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. together. Before I came to China, I was a person who would eat whatever I wanted when I was hungry, and the Chinese taught me how to feed myself in a healthier way. Do more, talk less. There are a lot of people in my hometown who tend to talk a lot of shit, dirty words, and rarely laugh out loud. So do I. But in China you hardly see them swearing in public, and you see them enjoying it, laughing out loud. After some interactions with my Chinese friends, I've noticed that they tend to be very low-key about their projects. They rarely let people know what they are trying to do. Instead they focus on what the project brings, pragmatically, and let your results represent you. No one can help you but you. I learned my sense of stance from the Chinese. Never complain. No one can influence your success but you. No one owes you something. Climb up from the ground up. Fake it till you make it. I work in software engineering, and I've learned from the Chinese that the quickest way to build is to start from scratch. Copy what others are doing, don't reinvent the wheel, and finally personalize the product. People all over the world think that China only copies things and never innovates, but if copying was really that easy, everyone would do it. Although intellectual property is very important. Family above all. In my hometown, Chinese people are portrayed as selfish, materialistic, without any sensitivity, so I used to believe that Chinese elders have their children to take care of. In China, I see most of my Chinese friends live with their parents and take care of them, and walking around I will see a typical Chinese family, a child in a pram pushed by his grandpa, then grandma and parents. Chinese people have a very strong sense of family. Finally, let me say that Chinese culture is really profound, ha. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the video. If you want to know more interesting things and facts about China and the West, please support the channel by comments, likes, share and subscribe to all videos by clicking the bell. See you again soon.